She was just watching from a distance with no intention of being seen. The park, full of memories, was the setting of a date she didn't have the courage to face. But everything changed when a man sat down next to her and said, "You better come with me, or I will have to." That unexpected phrase was the beginning of something she could never have foreseen. A story about second chances, the weight of silence, and the power of a reunion that can change everything. Hello, my friends. I am Linda, and this is the Linda's Stories channel. I hope you enjoy this story. The gentle October breeze swayed the golden leaves of the trees, creating a natural carpet around the bench where Greta Miller was sitting. At 26, her face still retained traces of the youthfulness that characterized her when she left home at 18, but her eyes revealed a life experience that few her age knew. Born into a middle-class family, Greta was the youngest of 3 siblings. Dean, the eldest, had always been the responsible one, following in their father's footsteps in managing the small family business. Luke, the middle child, was the artist, sensitive and observant, a music teacher at a local school. And there was Greta, the apple of her parents' eyes, Derek and Donna. The Miller home had always been a cosy refuge. The walls, painted in warm tones, housed photographs of special moments. The first day of school for each child, family trips to the beach, Christmases with a bountiful table, and even more abundant smiles. In the kitchen, the aroma of family recipes prepared by Donna filled the environment, especially on Sundays, when everyone gathered for lunch. Derek, with his awkward way of showing affection, always appeared wearing his favourite team's jersey on special occasions, a superstition he believed brought luck to the family. Donna, on the other hand, maintained traditions that strengthened family bonds, like the annual picnic in the city park to celebrate her birthday. "This is the best way to celebrate another year of life," Donna would say, as she arranged the basket with the pâté sandwiches that everyone loved and the jug of fresh orange juice. On those days in the park, Greta and her siblings fed the ducks, ran across the grass and enjoyed their time together. Boris, the family's Labrador, would chase after the children, barking happily. These were moments of simplicity and joy that Greta never imagined she would one day miss so much. When she got accepted to study advertising at a university in a nearby city, about 2 hours away from home, Greta saw the opportunity to finally experience the freedom she so desired. At 18, she moved to a small apartment that she shared with 2 fellow students. The first months were a time of adaptation. Calls home were frequent, and weekends were often spent with family. But as she became more involved in university life, Greta began to distance herself. New friendships, parties that went on until dawn, and decisions that didn't always prioritize studies became part of her routine. One of those nights, she met Archie, a guy a few years older who didn't study at the university but attended campus parties. With a charming smile and promises of adventures, he introduced her to a circle of friends who lived intensely, with no concerns for tomorrow. "You're too young to be confined by others' expectations, Greta," Archie would say, as he offered her another drink. "Life is to be lived now." It was during this time that arguments with her parents began. Derek and Donna noticed the changes in their daughter's behaviour. Lower grades, less frequent calls, excuses not to visit the family. "We are worried about you, daughter," said Donna during one of Greta's rare visits. "It's not about controlling your life, but about caring for your future." "You don't understand," responded Greta, irritated. "I'm discovering who I am, living my own experiences. I don't need you smothering me with your outdated rules." The arguments intensified. Derek, in a moment of frustration, even cut back part of the financial assistance he provided to his daughter, hoping this would make her reflect on her choices. The result was the opposite. Greta distanced herself even more, turning to Archie and his friends to fill the gap. It was on a Friday night, after a particularly tough week at college, that everything changed. Archie invited her to a party at a house far from the city centre. "It's going to be different from anything you've ever experienced," he promised, and it really was. When the police raided the place, Greta discovered she was at a party where drugs were being sold. Despite her claims that she was just present with no direct involvement, she was detained along with the others. Among those apprehended were Archie and other friends she considered close. The news of the youngest daughter's arrest devastated the Miller family. Derek and Donna, despite their disappointment, immediately hired a lawyer and tried to visit Greta in jail. To their surprise, she refused to see them. "Tell them I don't need their visit, to remind me that they were right," she told the guard, her eyes brimming with tears but her pride intact. "My mother must be happy to have proven her point." During the 2 years she spent in prison, Greta returned all the letters the family sent, without even opening them. She kept herself isolated, building an emotional wall that, she believed, would protect her from the pain of facing her own choices and the disappointment she had caused to those who loved her the most. The time in prison was difficult. Sharing a cell with women of varied backgrounds, some much harsher than hers, Greta gradually began to reflect on the path that had led her there. The nights were long, and she often found herself remembering Sundays at her parents' house, the laughter of her siblings, the smell of her mother's cooking. But pride still spoke louder. When she was finally released at the age of 25, Greta left prison with only a backpack containing her few belongings and a social reintegration program that directed her to work in a nursing home in the same city where she served her sentence. Initially, the job at the nursing home seemed merely an obligation to meet the program's requirements. Greta performed her tasks with detachment, serving meals, helping organize recreational activities, and assisting the elderly with their basic needs, all without truly connecting. It was Mrs. Celeste, an 87-year-old lady, who first broke this barrier. With her white hair always arranged in a flawless bun and a gentle smile, she had a peculiar way of asking questions that went straight to the heart. "Why does someone so young have such sad eyes?" she asked one afternoon while Greta was helping her organize her photographs. The question took Greta by surprise. She tried to dodge it, but something in the frankness of Senora Celeste's gaze made her hesitate. "I made mistakes," she finally replied, "and now I'm paying for them." "We all make mistakes, my dear," said Senora Celeste, showing an old photo where she appeared with a man in a military uniform. "My husband and I didn't speak for 10 years over a silly disagreement. When we finally decided to reconcile, he fell ill and passed away 6 months later. 10 lost years that I can never recover." That conversation stayed in Greta's mind. In the following days, other stories added up. Mr. Norman, a 92-year-old man who had lost contact with his only son after a dispute over selling the family home, now eagerly awaited letters that never arrived. Mrs. Amelia, who at 78 still kept a box with all the letters from her daughter who had died young in an accident, reread them daily, as if she could keep the connection alive. "Time passes very quickly, Greta," Mr. Norman told her one day while she was helping him with physical therapy. "And in the end, what remains are not the fights or resentments, but the chances we missed to say I love you." Meanwhile, Greta tried to reconnect with some of her old friends from university times. She located 2 of them through social media and arranged meetings. The experiences were discouraging. The first cancelled at the last minute. The second showed up but spent most of the time on his phone, clearly uncomfortable with her presence. When she mentioned Archie, she received only a shrug. "He got out of prison about 6 months ago, I think. I heard he's in another city. No one keeps much contact," said the guy, before making up an excuse to leave early. Those frustrating encounters contrasted deeply with the stories of love and loss she heard at the nursing home. While her former friends could barely look her in the eye, the elderly people she interacted with daily offered her genuine attention and valuable life lessons. It was during one of the memory groups organised by the nursing home's occupational therapist that Greta had her moment of greatest clarity. The elderly shared memories of special family moments, and Mrs. Celeste described a picnic by a lake. "It was a tradition in our family. Every year on my birthday, no matter the weather, we would go to the park with a checkered blanket, sandwiches and lemonade. The children would run around, my husband would try to fish, and I would simply watch, grateful to have everyone together." That description sparked a dormant memory in Greta. Her mother's birthday was approaching. In exactly 3 days, to be precise. It would be the first time in years she would be in the same city as her family during that special date. Did they still maintain the tradition of the picnic in the park? In the days that followed, the idea didn't leave her mind. Part of her wanted to reach out, ask for forgiveness, return to the family she had rejected. Another part feared rejection, believing she didn't deserve forgiveness after so much silence. On the eve of Donna's birthday, Greta couldn't sleep. She tossed and turned in the bed of the small apartment she had rented near the nursing home, thinking about all the possibilities. In the morning she decided she would go to the park just to watch from afar. She wouldn't interfere, wouldn't approach, just check if the tradition continued, if her family was well. And so, on that sunny Sunday afternoon, Greta found herself sitting alone on a bench in the park, at a safe distance from where her family used to have their picnic. She wore jeans, a simple blouse and sunglasses, as if the disguise could protect her from confronting her past. She didn't have to wait long. Soon she saw the family group approaching the usual spot. Her heart raced as she recognized each of them. Her brother Dean, now with a well-trimmed beard, was holding the hand of a woman Greta didn't know. Next to them, a little girl of about 2 years old was happily skipping. Luke was right behind, animatedly talking to another woman who was carrying a baby in her arms, and then her father Derek and her mother Donna, walking hand in hand. Her father, as always, wore the team's shirt, now a bit more faded. Her mother, with more grey in her hair, but the same gentle smile. And there was Boris, the family's old Labrador, now moving more slowly, but still faithfully by Donna's side. As she watched the familiar scene unfold, the towel being spread on the grass, the children running around, the adults laughing, Greta felt a deep ache in her chest. Tears began to stream down her face. What had she missed? How many birthdays, Christmases, family Sundays had she wasted out of pride? Her nieces and nephews, whom she didn't even know, were growing up without knowing they had an aunt. With her hands over her eyes, she allowed herself to cry silently. She was so absorbed in her pain that she didn't notice when someone approached and sat beside her on the bench. "You better come join me or I'll have to bring the party here," said a familiar voice. Greta removed her hands from her face and turned, startled. There, beside her, was Derek, her father, with tear-filled eyes and a shaky smile on his lips. "Father?" she whispered, incredulous. Without saying anything more, Derek wrapped her in a tight embrace. Greta smelled the familiar scent of the cologne he always wore, the rough touch of his unshaven beard on her cheek, the comforting warmth of his arms, sensations she had almost forgotten, but which now flooded her with a wave of memories and emotions. "I'm so glad you came," he said, his voice choked with emotion. "Our family celebrations haven't been the same without you. Come, your family has been waiting for you for years." How did you see me?" Greta asked, still in shock. Derek smiled, wiping away a tear. A father always recognizes his daughter, no matter the distance. Besides, Boris started barking in your direction as soon as we arrived. That old dog never forgot your scent. Greta hesitated, looking at the family group from a distance. "I don't know if I deserve to come back. After everything I've done. How I treated you." "Greta," her father held her hands. "Family is not about deserving or not. It's about belonging. It's about unconditional love. We never stopped loving you, not for a second. Your choices hurt us, yes, but they never diminished our love." With hesitant steps, Greta walked with her father to the picnic spot. As they approached, Donna was the first to notice her presence. For a moment, she stood frozen, as if she was seeing a ghost. Then, dropping the plate she was holding, she ran towards her daughter. The embrace between mother and daughter was even more intense. Donna was openly crying, holding Greta's face in her hands, as if she wanted to memorize every detail. "My girl, you have come back home," she repeated between sobs. One by one, the siblings approached. There were tears, tight hugs, introductions to the new members of the family, the sisters-in-law and nephews Greta didn't know. Boris, old and tired but still wagging his tail excitedly, did not leave her side, as if afraid she might disappear again. Sitting on the checkered blanket with her family around, Greta finally found the courage to speak. "Forgive me for everything. For the lost time, for the returned letters, for the silence. I was so lost, so full of pride. The important thing is that you found your way back," said Donna, holding her hand. "Having you here today is the best birthday present I could receive." That afternoon, as the sun began to set over the lake, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, Greta shared with her family the experiences of the past few years, the prison, the work at the nursing home, the lessons she had learned. She spoke about Mrs. Celeste and Mr. Norman, about regrets and second chances, about the value of time spent with those we love. "I learned the hard way," she concluded, "that the place we truly belong is by the side of those who love us unconditionally, even when we don't deserve that love." Later, as the family gathered up the picnic things, Donna approached her daughter with a small package. "I kept this all these years," she said, handing him the package. Inside there was a picture frame with an old photo. 5-year-old Greta sitting on the same park bench she had been on today, with ice cream dripping down her fingers and a wide smile on her face. Next to her, Donna was smiling at the camera, hugging her daughter by the shoulders. "To remind you that no matter how much time passes, some things never change," Donna said. "A mother's love is one of them." That night, upon returning to her small apartment, now only temporary, as she had accepted the invitation to return to the family home, Greta placed the picture frame on the bedside table. The image perfectly captured what she had rediscovered: the simple joy of being with those we love, the comfort of belonging, the security of a love that knows no conditions. For the first time in years, Greta fell asleep with a smile on her lips, knowing that she had finally found her way back home. If you enjoyed the story, please leave a comment with a rating from 1 to 5 to show how much you liked it. Also, watch the video that is now appearing on your screen. See you soon.